As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. The both of them tilt their heads the same way. What is the meaning of this? Okay, wow, that's not good. Inspector Hosonaga, will you submit that print as evidence at once? Certainly, Your Excellency. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. Hold on. Let me see the new evidence. What is this? Okay, yeah, there's the glass in it. And nothing else? Is there like a hidden compartment, maybe? And what is this, I wonder? This looks like the devil or something. Otherwise, there's nothing really suspicious about this photo. Is there? I don't know what this is, but nothing too interesting, I think. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed, and there's only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it?
Sure, I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but a weaker meat while the strong eat.
What is this proverb? That's not a real proverb, I don't think.
You are wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. In fact, you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell.
This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I did not commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. No, wait. I already took over the defense. So he will go to Great Britain no matter what, right? Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about the last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby
Yes!
Ooh, that slap had oomph. Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection! This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol. Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there's no longer any room for doubt, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection! That is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence.
You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke.
I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my fingers on it.
Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Uh-oh. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Your Excellency.
So, take another look at this photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded.
Oh my god, oh no. Oh no. What are we gonna do? I don't see anything. Hold on. Did not pass through the body. No exit wound. Photograph of the victim. There's something over there. Wait, what is that? Oh, that's the vase. Okay, there's a vase. Okay. I think it has something to do with the hand, right? What is that? I don't even know. What is this? Is this relevant to the case? Is it a red herring? Oh boy. I don't know what to do. I mean, the only thing that's weird is this thing here, but I don't see any relevance to the case, really. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. I mean, there's nothing on the table. That's a normal chair, I think. Let's try this, I guess. Let's just try it.
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist.
That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection! Dear me, I was wondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Oh, you know about that?
Go on, Inspector.
The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either.
The prosecutor is right.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark.
Yeah, it kinda looks like a bull face. A face of the head of a bull? Something like that? Upside down? However, as Prosecutor Auchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Pratt has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. Oh no! She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again.
Just give up, Counselor. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture.
But if we had evidence...
Evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case,
then you would allow it?
I would, yes.
To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Bratt's face. Really? I have to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means.
So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial.
Oh my god, what are you doing to me, game? What could that possibly be? A burn mark. Burn mark on his hand. It doesn't have to be recent. Oh! Oh my god, look at that. What? It is the head of a bull. Oh god, okay. Interesting, but even so, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print?
Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Bratt. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection! You can't fool me with a little bluffs, boy. If that's okay, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Here we go. Here we go.
Yes! The beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate?
Oh! Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape.
Ah!
Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at a restaurant.
Objection! But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But...
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds.
It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then.
I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter! Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burned themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard a professor scream, not on that day, or any before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day,
that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel.
Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Professor Ouchie? Prosecutor Ouchie?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. What? There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered a burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation.
Also, are you suggesting...
Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already?
Dead?
Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
What?
Hold on. I don't think we can conclude like that, can we? I mean, his burn does not need to have happened when the beefsteak was brought to his table, right? It could have happened afterwards, I think. What did Hosonaga say again? If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, the burn would have taken around 3 seconds. But does that mean the burn happened when the plate was brought to the table?
That's madness!
Order! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down, or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it.
Incredible! I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency...
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Oh, that smirk. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. She can speak Japanese, especially if it helps relations between my country and yours.
Miss Brett, you speak Japanese?
Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. That's very disrespectful, lady. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson.
So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Interesting? I wouldn't put it like that. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. That's true. That is true. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Oh, she's so full of herself.
That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Lady.
Not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened to you today.
The Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Amen?
Thanks. Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial, is it? If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Ouch. Yes, Your Excellency.
Then you may proceed with the cross-examination.
Let's see. She has no idea. But she ordered a steak herself, right? When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. Can the detective inspector corroborate that? As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause. That's correct, that's absolutely right. Okay, no. Okay, these two last statements are useless, right? The 2-3 statements are useless. Let's press on this.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember, which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you.
I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of the others in court, it means bless you.
No, that's not it. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. Wait, what was that?
Yes!
But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open.
Oh, whoa.
You can't not have noticed, can you?
Huh? What? What? What fun!
You hadn't realized.
The dear lady is absolutely right.
Is your friend you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke? Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Yes!
Well, I can't. Anyway. Damn, there's nothing wrong. Do we want to ask about the post-mortem report?
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Why does it have to be happened straight away? Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. Okay, I see. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must already have been dead at that point.
Objection! And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right.
What do I do? Caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. Shortly after 2 p.m. That is the cause of death after all. Okay, I have no idea. Let's press on.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt.
What about poison?
Isn't that right, Inspector Ozunaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark.
If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
I must remember this is the time before forensic analysis and stuff like that, right?
Oh no, perish the thought calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi, will cut down any who dare cause such aspersions.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need evidence. We need evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Evidence that we don't have. This is carbonated water? This looks like a wine bottle to me.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so?
Quite right, La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
Oh.
It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
Ha ha ha, killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I've noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? The detective? Yes, he seems to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Okay, let's try that.
Yes!
Yeah, but in this country you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so?
Wait. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
Now what? Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker.
What marker?
At the moment we focus on Miss Brett, who is the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right, you can turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with... If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then. So first I should focus on the detective, then pursue him and see what's on his mind. Exactly.
Wait.
Okay, how do I move? Oh. Okay. And then pursue.
Excuse me.
Yeah, what's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court.
Objection! What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with the testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. A detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case.
Inspector Hosonaga,
Yes?
do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett?
Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak.